Hey guys, how you doing today? I'm doing something different today. I actually did one shot of this and I actually uploaded it, and then somebody pointed out, hey John, you did your math wrong. And I was like, oh, because I definitely did my math wrong. So, part two, or take two, take two of this particular video, where I try to really explain to you and explain to people in general, like, how much is $1 billion, right? What does it mean that someone has $1 billion? And I really want to create a visual, and I wanted to have a visual so that you could really put together, I say on this channel all the time, a single billionaire in your society is extremely dangerous. Just for the fact that they exist at all, it's extremely dangerous to have a billionaire. But I feel like $1 billion just doesn't compute in our brain, right? We don't actually have the capacity to understand how much is $1 billion, and what does that mean that you can have a person with $1 billion just sort of walking around and doing stuff in your society. So hopefully through explaining this and showing you a visual, it'll help kind of crack that open and really give you the opportunity to go oh dang, billionaires are dangerous and we shouldn't have them in our society at all. They shouldn't exist at all. And I'm going to do it with the humble poker chip, okay? So every single poker chip you see today is going to represent $100,000, right? I choose $100,000 because it's easy, right? You can compute $100,000. $100,000 is a lawyer, it's a doctor, it's an engineer, right? You can put that together. You can see a doctor working. You can see an engineer working. It's a politician, right? You see these people all the time. This, and of course, it's just an average. It's just an average. But let's say, for sake of argument, $100,000, doctor, lawyer, engineer, politician, right? Professor, right? Professor, high-level journalist, right? $100,000, pretty reasonable. So if this is $100,000, right? Well, okay. So this is $1 million, right? That's $1 million. $100,000, million. Boom. Super easy. Why $1 million is important? Because $1 million is about the value of a house. I mean, houses, depending on where you live, are more expensive or less expensive, but let's just say for sake of argument, that's a house, right? So you've got a house for $1 million, and if you only make $100,000, well, that means you need to take out a loan and take out a mortgage, and then you can spread out your payment of all of this over many years, right? You can pay this, make $100,000 one year, pay off a little bit of it, $100,000 the next year, and steadily go up the chain, right, of paying off that house. Because it's $100,000. $100,000 is not that much, even though it's being made by doctors, lawyers, and engineers, right? The high-level professions, the people who we all know that we should respect and who do good work in our society, right? $100,000. And let's say, though, right, that you make $1 million. This is actually your earnings now. This is what you've made. Okay, that's not that big a deal, right? You still can't just walk up and go house, please, because you make $1 million in your whole life and you need to, pay for things in your life and you want to have a nice thing. But you could, probably buy a house pretty fast, much faster than if you just had $100,000, right? But that's okay, right? Who cares about that? Here's where things get interesting, right? Because you use money to buy people in our society, right? You rent people in our society. It's called wages. We pretend like it's normal. We pretend like it isn't some kind of weird indentured servitude or slavery thing. And if you listen to that and you went, yeah, wages aren't slavery, it doesn't matter, okay? Because you're going to see pretty quickly how ridiculous things can get with this. But let's say you wanted to have, let's say, a lawyer on retainer, right? This is what you make in a year. Boom. Okay? You want to have a lawyer full-time on retainer to deal with all your legal issues because let's say you're a crook. Oh, wealthy crook. I've never heard of such a thing. But okay, let's just say you are. So there you go, right? You want an accountant, right? You want a full-time accountant. Okay, there you go, right? Let's say you want to bribe a politician, right? Let's say you want to have a politician in your pocket. Boop, there you go, right? What else could you do with this kind of stuff, right? Let's say you wanted to influence a professor to espouse some kind of doctrine that you care about, right? It could be some kind of like thing like fundamentalist Christianity, could be some kind of wonky thing, or it could just simply be the doctrine of neoliberalism that says that billionaires are somehow good for some reason. Okay, there you go, right? But you can see this only goes so far, right? You can have like one lawyer, maybe two lawyers, right? Like maybe you'll have two politicians, right? Have an accountant. Hire someone to run your business for you so you no longer have to do anything. Because remember, we're talking about capitalists here. And if you listen to this channel for any length of time, or if this is your first time here, you need to know that capitalists are fundamentally worthless. They do no work, they provide no benefit, they provide no value. What they do is take value from other people, right? So for example, they'll hire a CEO for their business, boop, and then they'll just go to the golf course, right? And they'll take the money from their business and they'll let this guy run it. That's how capitalism works, right? So, but your $1 million is getting pretty low, right? Like, you're not really, like, you still want a nice car, still gotta make a payment on that house, right? Like, maybe have some shares, maybe some long-term investments, right? But like, your influence, while you're an influential person in the world, right? Like, you've got your lawyers, you've got all this kind of stuff, right? Maybe you can have some highfalutin doctors, right? But you're not that influential. You're doing well, certainly. No one's going to cry, and no one's going to cry about you having $1 million, right? Why should they? So, let's up the ante, okay? How about instead of $1 million, boop, you have $10 million, right? So, here's your $10 million. This is the amount of money that you made last year, right? You made $10 million. So, you want to buy a house? Boom, you can just buy a house. Roll on in, don't need to negotiate, don't need to take a loan, don't need to do anything. You just roll on in, say, house please, I would like it, right? Hey, do that again, why not, right? Hey, why not do that 3 times, right? 3 houses, every year you can buy 3 houses just to have it, right? And you don't even need to like manage these. You just hire this guy, right? This guy can manage these, right? He can find renters, he can find this, and so now this will start generating passive income for you for no reason, right? Because you just have money, right? Where did you get this money from? Well, you got it from other people's labor, right? Like, so you'll like hire a guy, right? And then he'll do enough labor and it'll spit out the money to pay him and then this as well, which you get to keep. That's capitalism. That's how it works. That's how the system functions. So, you've got your houses, right? And you can do this every single year. You can just buy 3 houses, 4 houses if you want, right? And still have $6 million, right? So now we're getting like really wonky. So let's say you've bought your 4 houses, right? So how many lawyers do you want? You want 10 lawyers, right? Here you go, 10 lawyers, right? You can go do whatever malfeasance and whatever illegal thing you want to do and mess people up with your lawyers. Just, you've got them, they're on retainer. Hey, how about you just have a bunch of CEOs, right? Have a bunch of accountants, right? Have a bunch of people who are running your businesses and running your kind of stuff. You still have $4 million left over while you're just spending this money like this, by the way, right? So you got your lawyers, you got your, hey, you want 10 politicians? Heck, let's go crazy, right? Why don't you have 20 politicians, right? Why don't you have a significant wing, right, of a political party just because you want to have them, right? And hey, you know what? Let's pull these houses back in. Let's pull these houses back in. Let's say you didn't buy houses this year. Let's say instead you took this money and you just said, yeah, I'd like some economists, right? Oh yeah, you know what? I'll have some journalists. Oh okay. I'll have. Why don't I fund some Fraser Institute studies or the Epoch Times or something to spew propaganda into the populace to create a narrative such as billionaires are worth something, right? How will we do that, right? You just keep this money. Why not? Take some shares, right? Do all that kind of stuff. Of course, you've paid for some accountants, right? I believe I paid for some accountants along here, but what the hell, right? Let's pay for a bunch more accountants. So they'll deal with this money. You never even need to open a bank account. You never need to pay a bill, right? You never need to worry about any of that, ever, because these guys are doing it for you, right? While these guys are spewing propaganda into the society, while these guys are acting as accountants, right? While these guys are insuring your affairs and all this kind of stuff, right? And you can just go F off to the golf course, right? Like, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to be productive. You don't need to be part of the society. And this is only $10 million. So, okay, let's raise the ante. Whoopah! Okay, now you're looking at $30 million. full disclosure, this is all the poker chips I own, right? $30 million. Remember, here's your doctor, here's your lawyer, here's your engineer, right? Here's your guy who's actually doing work and being important and doing stuff in your society, right? Here's your valuable contributing person in the society. Why do I have $30 million? Because my dad was born with it and I got given it myself, right? Hereditary wealth is basically how people become billionaires. So now that I've got $30 million, right? How many lawyers do you want? How many engineers do you want? How many politicians do you want? Right? For real. Like, let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 politicians, right? You can buy them. Here's your money, right? This is what you have still left over. And if some of them are being sticklers, just throw a little bit extra in the pot, right? Raise the ante a little bit. Hey, maybe give these guys just a little bit more. Some bonuses, for being such good politicians who are doing everything you're telling them to do, right? You can just do that. You literally can just say, hey, I'm going to give you all of this money if you do what I say. Oh, but Jonathan, like, that's bribery, and we track this kind of stuff. Yeah, right. As if these guys are not receiving huge sums of money after they leave office, right? You kidding me? Like, these guys roll up to your gigantic mansion, right? Your gigantic mansion that you definitely have, right? Your gigantic mansion that you definitely have because you've spent a ton of money to have a gigantic mansion, right? It's probably built by your great-great-grandfather by slaves like 100 years ago, right? And then you roll them up inside of like your super nice cars, right? They get to see all the money that you have, right? And you roll these politicians into your house and you feed them a great, nice dinner, right? With, don't forget the servants, right? Don't forget what the hell? Don't forget the servants, right? You roll them in, right? And you show them your nice property and you say, hey, do what I say and I'll be your ally, right? Here you go. They're going to say no, do you think? What do you think? They're going to say no? And you can afford to do this. You can afford to do this. This is how much money you have left, right? This is your ambition as a person with $30 million, right? You have your lawyers, your all of this stuff, your politicians, all of these guys, all this kind of stuff. And I'm not even showing you what $1 billion looks like, right? Let's do that right now. This is what $1 billion looks like. Remember, $100,000, $1 billion. What do you think you can do with the kind of money that I'm showing you right now? What do you think you could do? How many people do you think you could buy? How much propaganda do you think you could spew into the populace? How many pieces of land, pieces of property, pieces of material goods do you think you could control and dominate and own, right? If you had that kind of money, right? And now we're not even talking about, and I haven't got to talking about the housing market. So, boom, back we come, right? So, if you've got this kind of money, right? If you've got this kind of money, and we're back only in $30 million land, like we're not even in $1 billion land, but let's pretend, right? So, you buy a house, right? Buy 2, buy 3, right? Buy 4, 5. So let's say this is all the money I'm just keeping, right, for myself. This is all my money. I get to have it because Daddy said I got to have it. I earned it, though. I earned it even though Daddy gave it to me and I didn't work a day for it, right? I earned it. Yeah. So house, 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 house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 houses. 10 houses I can buy annually. I can do this, right? I can buy 10 houses annually, keep this money for myself, right? So I don't need to buy politicians. I don't need to do any of this kind of stuff. I don't need to get involved with that if I don't want to. Boom, 1 on 11, 12. What the hell, right? If you can do this, right? And what are they doing with this, right? Are they hiring like one person? Are they hiring like 10 people to be their property kind of speculator kind of people? No, right? They're buying this property and they're holding on to it because they're hoarding it, which jacks the price of housing up, right? Which means they can turn around and sell it, and instead of selling it for the $1 million they bought it, they can sell it for $2 million now. If they want to, which they don't. Why would they want to? They're currently collapsing our economy by the sheer weight of their own existence. Because guess what, guys? If you have this much money, right? Here's a major flaw in the whole neoliberal trickle-down economics idea, right? If the point of investing your money is to make more money, why would you do that if you already have all of the money? Right? Like, I'm not even getting into like the big economics of it, right? Where these guys, sure, they're buying their lawyers and all that kind of stuff, but these guys do work for them, and guess what? They get that money back, right? Once you have as much money as we're talking about, once you have $1 billion, you never lose it. You never lose it, because the only reason you would spend money is so that you could get the money that you have here and then more money back, right? That's how capitalism works. That it's an engine that feeds off of human suffering. And once you have accumulated this amount of wealth, you can buy who you want, you can bribe who you want, you can do whatever you want, and no one can say anything about it. Isn't this a great system? Isn't this the best system? Isn't it super important that we actually have billionaires walking around? Don't you think that it's maybe a stupid idea to let someone have this much money because they earned it? Like, we must be absolutely out of our minds to believe that that is the case, right? Here's the amount of money that I think is acceptable for a person to have. Right there. Anything more than that, cut, gone. Right? Absolutely. Without a doubt, in my mind. And I'm getting to the point in my life where I think if you disagree with that statement, there's something wrong in your head. Right? Okay, this is going to be the end of this video. Do not let billionaires gaslight you. Like, look how much money they can spend gaslighting you, right? They can spend this much money gaslighting you, right? And they do, by the way. That's advertising. That's PR, right? They're gaslighting you to make you feel bad about yourself because you're not, I gotta be productive and I gotta make as much money as I possibly can. If I don't make any money, oh my God. They're gonna pay you that at best, right? In truth, they're gonna pay you 1/10 of that. And if they could, they'd pay you nothing, right? And this is what they make. This is what they get, right? And they're happy that you are just like, no, I was a billionaire, I owned it. Yeah, billionaire, he earned it. He earned it. Right? They're gaslighting you, and if you go along with it, you're a dupe. It really is that simple. All they want to do is make you feel bad about yourself so that you'll buy their products to make you not feel bad about yourself. How about, instead of that, we eliminate them, right? We eliminate them so that they're gone forever, and we just live our own lives, right? Making our money, doing our thing, living our lives. Okay, guys, this is the end of this video. If you've made it to this point, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment on the video. One of the commenters is the reason why I had to do this video over again. You could make me do another video over again. Don't let these guys gaslight you. They pay enormous amounts of money in order to gaslight you. Don't let them do it. You're a wonderful person. You're doing great in the world. Everything you're doing is good and appropriate and smart. And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Good luck. We're going to need it.